Hey guys, welcome to video one of video eight. We're in week one, shifting foundations and busting myths. So today's video is about redefining sales, moving from pushing to serving. So I thought it would be a good idea to get Win together and for the both of us to share what was sales like for us when we were kind of pushing and trying to make things happen versus what it was like for us to move to serving. So I'll go first. For me, when I first started my coaching business, I was taught a very methodical approach to sales. I had to, get the person's vision. I had to ask them what it was like if they got that vision to kind of, get them in an emotional state where they were feeling happy and grateful for that vision. And then like, hey, it's this much. And it felt very manipulative. And well, it felt not right for me. It was the only way I really knew how to do it. So I just hated the idea of going to have that conversation with people, like pushing someone in this direction where the outcome really favored me. And I hope it favored them, like they were going to get what they want. And my problem with that is as soon as the coaching would start, we wouldn't really talk about their vision. We would just talk about what showed up in the moment. And I remember the first day when it moved from that to serving, I was attending a coaching training in Santa Monica, and I was crossing the street with another gentleman, and I was talking to him about it because I was feeling uncomfortable. Like, is there a better way? Like, how do you do it? And then he said something to me to the effect of, "Well, I talk to someone, I see what's on offer for them, and I tell them." And I thought, yeah, that's too simple. But it stayed with me because it thought because there was a ring of truth in it because I knew he was right. And then later that day, I remember the coach at the time, Michael Neal, who was running the training, said that what we see on offer for people, we have a much higher perspective. Higher meaning we have a different perspective on what people are up against and what's possible for them. And we also get a sense that we know what could really change their life or what could really help them. And all we really have to do is speak to that because when we're speaking from that, we're speaking from our heart, like this is what would really change your life. This is what would really help. And to me, I was really nervous about that because the things I would see for these people that I was working with or anybody, it didn't always feel like the nice thing to say or like the thing they wanted. Oftentimes it was a very different thing than what they told me they wanted, but I knew it was the thing that was going to help them. And when I started doing that, I a funny thing happened was I stopped being afraid of getting rejected because I knew what I was saying and what I was offering was coming from truth. And turns out more people could feel that, and more people started to get interested in that truth. And and then that changed the game for me because I was no longer kind of carrying the secret. Oh no, like I'm carrying my agenda, and I didn't feel comfortable to. This is what I see on offer for you, and this is what I genuinely think would change your life. And that's what it was like for me. So I'm going to hand this over to Win.
That was great to listen to. Um, Thanks for sharing that. So I was selling a long time before I was coaching. My my profession was sales, and this is before I even left university. So my very first sales job was in 1991, which is now 33 years ago, coming up to 34 years ago, in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I was going door to door, knocking on doors to get donations for a clean water charity. That's what my job was, and I would get commission based upon how much money I would raise per evening. And I think we were working 4 till 8, knocking on doors and given a big old territory and how many doors you'd have. And that version of selling was learn a script and say it. And it was totally about the product service. It was totally about what the product was about and how the donations would actually be used in the benefit of the people and the community. And I felt really good about that product because I knew it would be helpful for people to have clean water and would be able to take um, companies who are polluting water to court. So I really believed in it, but it was very much a product centered approach. Now, I did quite well. And I think the reason I did quite well is because I had a very intriguing accent. So my accent at the time was far more Welsh than it is now, having lived away from Wales since 1996. And I've slowed down my speech a lot in that last kind of 30 odd years because I had to. So I would talk quite fast, I would have a very strong accent, and I think people were intrigued by me, and I did well. I then, after finishing university, I went into a direct sales job. And the first thing that they taught us was get to really understand your customer. That was it. And if I was with someone for 90 minutes, about an hour and a quarter of that was on getting to understand the customer. And, there was a heap of training in that because what was I? I was barely 22 at the time when I started. And what I remember vividly now, looking back, was a, I think it was a tape. It might have been an audio tape. I don't think it was a video of this sales expert called Brian Tracy, who was apparently really well known back in the 80s. Yes, that long ago. And effectively, he said one thing that is still a fundamental truth, that selling is about the customer, not the product. Selling is about the client, not the service. And so many times when I hear uh, coaches and consultants and salespeople in general, when I'm training sales organizations or the sales department within organizations, they are so product and service centered. They are so focused on themselves as opposed to really understanding, deep understanding of their client and customer, which goes back to what you say. So, to what you said, and one way of saying that for me is I don't want to have what I do and what I offer on my mind. I just want to be with them to understand their life, their challenges. I know we'll talk about this in the next video. However, I think the the myth that I'd really love to bust here right now in your mind as you're watching and listening to Nikon and myself is the only person that matters in the conversation initially is your potential client, the person in front of you. That's it. Anything else on your mind, anything else on my mind when I'm talking to people is unnecessary and it's really polluting the field. It's going back to that whole, what I was doing in that very first job in the San Francisco Bay Area back in 91 of, I don't want to pollute the conversation or my own attention and my own sales process, for want of a better phrase, with having me and what I do on my mind. And every time I train salespeople in the business to business world or business to consumer world, their biggest challenge is that they contaminate what they do at the same time as trying to understand what's on offer for their client and customer.
That's brilliant, Win. Thanks for sharing. All right, so that's it for video one. We'll see you in video two. And I have some thoughts on homework, so you can tell me what you think about this, Win. Is I'd love for you to see if you can notice the feeling of pushing and the feeling of serving. See if you can notice it in your sales conversations. Can you feel when something's being pushed on you? Or where someone's really serving you. See if you can notice what it's like on the other side, and vice versa. If you're having a sales conversation, see if you can notice or see your agenda versus seeing your genuine care, like Win said, your genuine interest in the person, your genuine interest and commitment to serving this person. What do you think about that, Win?
That sounds great.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll see you in the next video. All right. Bye.